Sanibonani Makhaya, and welcome to another special, which is special edition of Extra Time on Gagasi FM. Elamigama uSimthowa kaDladla alongside Mike Makhaba, and ngiyazi ukuthi abantu abaningi baphume enkonzweni. It's the Easter weekend. I hope unikhonze kahle, and uyazi ukuthi ke kwisports akuvalwa njengoba i-DStv Premiership ikhona this week and also i-English Premiership. But before we discuss more, especially nayo i-CAF Champions League, iMamelodi Sundowns iyadlala akusasa. But I want us to go back to Thapelo wakaXoke ebiziwe kwi-squad Bafana Hugo Bruce, and also nakhona ke going forward ukuthi yini sebezimisela ukuyenza nokuthi uyahlala yena Hugo Bruce kusho ukuthini lokho as ama players. Sizodiscuss okuningi ke namhlanje kwi-extra time. Asiqale ngoThapelo wakaXoke.
I think the camp was a success. We look to get positive performances. The coach told us that he was looking more for the performance more than the results. But yes, in the first game we needed the results because we felt that we could have won the game. We had chances to win the game. It's unfortunate that we didn't, but coach was happy with the performance of the team in overall. The second game was it was a quality display from both countries, but it showed us as South Africans how far we've come. It gives us confidence now to go into games with more confidence that we can't fear anyone. We showed and we proved against a quality Algerian side in their backyard. So I'm sure that will give us a more confidence going to the qualifiers in June.
But Mike, let's start with the Bafana. What a cracker of a game, 3-3 draw. And we saw what Coach Hugo Bruce is trying to do with this team. Can we trust this team now after that performance?
Simto, I think that there were a lot of positives to take from the game against Algeria. Algeria are a talented team. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. Going forward, for the first time, I was pretty excited about how we navigated from the back to the front quite quickly.
Yeah.
Tembazwane, like old wine, the longer it's in the bottle, the better it tastes, and he's just proving to be somebody that's defying time.
Yeah.
Starting to have comparisons with the great Dr. Khumalo and many of the iconic players. So Temba did incredibly well. Nice to see Ikram Reyners take his club form into the game. My only concern was, although the one goal that Algeria scored, if that's not a contender for the goal of the year in the world, the Puskas Award, then I'll be surprised. I mean, that was just unbelievable skill to set himself up and score a goal like that. So that goal, no team in the world could have defended. But a little bit worried about our defensive structure. Although he changed things around again, and he introduced a few new players, which is interesting. He's broadening his squad. I don't think we should fear any team on the continent. I really do believe that we've made real progress. And, when you start putting these results together, it can only build confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence within the squad and confidence outside. As a football agent, I have to tell you, all of a sudden, after many, many years of South Africa being in the wilderness, all of a sudden we're starting to get inquiries about South African players. And that's incredibly good for the country and its football, because we have to start, honestly, exporting players to the big leagues in the world again.
Yeah.
And we've got to continuously look to improve our national team through that process.
You touched based on Umshish and this comparison to Dr. Khumalo and other players.
Yes.
Are we doing justice to Umshish? Because remember, these are two different eras. The era of Dr. Khumalo, now Umshishi. Are we doing justice to Umshishi by comparing him with these players?
I think the safest way to compare players is to say Mshishi is to this era what Dr. Khumalo was to his era. Difficult to compare eras. The game has evolved tremendously. Technology has increased exponentially. Today you can tell how the player is feeling by monitoring his training sessions. So things have changed dramatically in the sporting world. in football in particular, a lot of advancement in technology. So to compare a player from one era to a player of another era, I mean, let me give you a great comparison. Let's take Lionel Messi and let's compare him to Maradona. And then let's take Maradona and compare him to Pele. If you watched Pele play and you put him next to Messi, you would have to say Messi's a better player, only because the game has changed so much. The intensity, the pace at which the game is played. However, if Pele was subject to the infrastructure, the technology, the training advancements that Lionel Messi was subject to from an academy time, then who knows what Pele might have done in this era. But Pele in his era was the greatest. Maradona in his era, in my opinion, was the greatest. Messi, Ronaldo in their era are the greatest. So to compare players from different eras is not quite fair, but you can say that Mshishi is today what Shoes Machel was, the late Shoes, may God rest his soul, what Shoes Machel was in his era. And so Timbers One is top of the pops.
Shifting from the national team, now the players of Mamelodi Sundowns, they have a tough assignment.
Yes.
Against Yanga. This is the CAF Champions League.
Yes.
From national duty now to the club level,
Yes.
especially the African competition, they do have an experience. Looking at Urulani and his troops going away to Yanga, how do you foresee that match after the great performance, as you said, Tumshi Algeria, Bafana against Algeria? Now it's a club assignment against Yanga.
You know, there's two schools of thought regarding the effect of AFCON on the players. Let's forget about the experience at the moment. Let's look at the load. The one school of thought will be that these players that have played regularly in the AFCON, and particularly those countries that progressed to the knockout stages and played all the way, like Bafana, because they played the third and fourth playoff. Has the load been a lot on the players, and what effect has it had? I think, again, modern technology will answer that for Rolani. He'll know which players needed to be rested and which players never needed that rest. And he would have prepared himself for where the club is going now, because they're literally playing 2 games a week for I don't know how long. Nedbank Cup, Champions League, and the league. But without a doubt, the continental experience of the players has to hold them in good stead. They're playing against a very tough team. Young is not
African,
you know, we mustn't forget that these are the champions of their countries. So don't think that we're playing a lesser light than an Al Ahly, for example, so it's not going to be difficult. These are difficult games. We saw what happened to Sundowns against Petro de Atletico some time ago, where they were eliminated. And you can't be complacent, and Sundowns will not be complacent. So I think, yes, the experience on the continent will do them good. And I also think that this team is a team that is capable of beating the best on the continent.
How crucial is players' rotation, especially with Mamelodi Sundowns? You have players, very quality bench, if I may say. But how crucial is a players' rotation, especially when it comes to African competition?
You know, Simto, you and I have discussed this so many times. There are pros and cons to player rotation. I think to find the balance between keeping the core of your so-called key players and then freshening the team up around those key players. Sometimes it's inevitable because a player will be injured or suspended, so you don't have that choice. But if everybody's available, it's the coaches that find that balance without disrupting the rhythm that will benefit, I believe. Have a look at Pep Guardiola. He's got a big squad of players, but how often do you see him changing all 11? Very, very seldom. There is always a core of players that seem to be preferred, and then he builds around those players. Often you'll see the team might be cruising at 3 or 4-0. He'll make 3-4 changes. He believes the game is safe. Now I can take off some key players. But I think the most important thing for any football team is to find the balance between rotation and not losing your rhythm. And therefore, I think playing one type of system will always be beneficial, because a player that comes in and is used to the system, whether he hasn't played for 2 or 3 games or not, will find it much easier to adapt than if the system keeps changing. And I think Rolani's done well in that respect, in that he understands how he wants the team to play, and then he may tweak it here and there, but by and large, he likes to play in a certain way, and he'll select players who he feels comfortable are able to do that job for him.
And also, moving from African competition, the DStv Premiership is continuing this weekend. And I spoke to Steve Kompela. They're playing against Richards Bay. It's the KZN Derby.
Yeah.
It's a home game for Golden Arrows, but it's a KZN Derby against a man who was in charge of this team. And after he left, the team not collapsed, but they failed to get maximum and positive results. But how difficult is it, Mike, to play against the coach who was there before you, who understands the culture of the team, who understands the players, the weaknesses of these players?
I'm going to tell you an incredibly strange statistic. When I left Manning Rangers to join Orlando Pirates, my first game was against Manning Rangers. When I left Orlando Pirates to go back to Manning Rangers, my first game was against Orlando Pirates. So you have mixed feelings to start with, because you've built such a strong relationship with the players. Secondly, you may think that you know a lot more about them than you really do, because you've coached them and you understand their strengths and weaknesses. The danger there is to overload your new team with information about your past team. Because then it's almost as if you haven't left that past team. And I've now stepped into the shoes of coaching a new team, but I still have my concerns about my old team. So I think the key for Villa is, let's call him Villa. The key for Villa is to focus on his team and not to concern himself too much about the Montville Golden Arrows. Let me tell you, I'm looking at the log, and it's a very interesting situation, because Arrows are in the top 8 at the moment.
Position 8.
They're sitting on 26 points after 20 games, and it's very tight below them. Richards Bay, on the other hand, are only 2 points adrift ahead of Cape Town Spurs, and a massive 7 points behind Swallows. They cannot afford any other result than a win. They've got to try and close that gap between themselves and the team above them, to a point where they know a loss on one side and a win for them gets them out of the danger zone. And for that to happen, they've got to put together a run of a couple of wins, I believe. They need 2 wins, 3 wins, to start
get out
building,
of that situation.
To start building their confidence. So it's going to be an incredibly tough game for both teams.
Would you say the same with the Chiefs against Cape Town City? The Chiefs are traveling to Cape Town this weekend.
A tough game, because if you look at it, City on 31, only 2 points off second spot, and Chiefs are on 29, only 4 points off second spot, sitting in 7th spot. So if Chiefs win this, they leapfrog Cape Town City. At least leapfrog Cape Town City, because we don't know what the other results are going to turn out to be like. But it's a vital game for both clubs. If City wins this, they consolidate their challenge for second place. If Chiefs wins this, they enter the race for second place. And you might think I'm crazy talking about second place, but unless we talk about the wheels falling off, the wheels, the engine, and every other part of the car has got to fall out of Mamelodi Sundowns for them not to win the league. I personally believe they are no more than 4 games away from winning this league. I think 58 points this year is going to be enough to win the league, and that means they've got to win 4 of their last 12 games. If Sundowns can't do that, then I'll be surprised.
For the first time,
Yes.
getting so much, because I remember Kevin Hunt said to win the league, you need to get like 60 points.
Yes.
But we spoke about Cape Town City and the Chiefs. If City wins, gives them a chance to move up. But there's a game of Stellenbosch and Royal AM.
Another important game, because Stellies can claim second spot.
Yes.
Because if you look at it again, Stellenbosch have a game in hand and only a point off Orlando
Dead
Pirates and
points, yeah.
Supersport. Royal AM, on the other hand, if you look at them, 25 points from 19 games, only a point off the Montville Golden Arrows, who sit in 8th spot. So, yeah, we shouldn't be saying this, but if you took Sundowns out of this league, it would probably be the most competitive league in the world.
At all?
You don't know who's getting relegated. Yes. You don't know who's going to go into the playoffs. You don't know who's in the top 8. You don't know who's going to finish 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th, or 8th even. Okay? So it's an incredibly competitive league if you take Masandawana out. And so that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, second spot is Champions League. And that's important for a number of clubs to show their prowess on the continent.
Well, Mike, I spoke to Steve Kompela regarding a succession plan with Bafana, and also what can we expect ukubona ushintsho kwi Bafana going forward. Ne-consistency nje, especially kuyona ke team njengoba sesiqala, sibona some positive results kuyona team eBafana.
Consistency. If let me bring it down home. Any successful team is a team that you can just, from goalkeeper to left wing, uzoyibiza without difficulty, because of the consistent selection and consistency in their play and game model. And AFCON gave us that feel. I think most of us can then start to say, okay, goalkeeper, who can you throw? So Yamaz and Imbase, and everybody would possibly 80 to 90% will call the same name. Right back, okay. Left back, okay. Center backs, okay. Central midfield, okay. Wingers, strikers, and even information. Already you have it. So the minute you can hang on to that and develop that, you have a chance. Then you are consistent. Then now how do you polish? And then how do you identify? Okay, I don't have Mudau. Who's the next in line? Kuma right back. Or I don't have Umudiba. Who's the next left back? And then when you go in Nala, there's a match we just played in Andorra. Even the people of Babonukut Bafaki Wepa, you can see they were deliberate choices or decisions that are part of that template. Who AFCON, when I'm sure last match or even the last match we played, you could easily guess good to know as Fakilo Hilo. And the changes you'd make, maybe 1 or 2. But previously, you can't change and expect there's going to be cohesion, there's going to be performance. First, before they perform, there has to be clarity and there has to be connection. If when and Abagini, your brothers, are not emotionally connected, you'll never fight your neighbors. Performance comes at the back of emotional glue. And I can only be glued with you emotionally if you and I share the same ideals. That's sports for you. So Bafana, they can develop further. There's a great window of opportunity, and it's exactly what happened in the past. 1996 group, Ngakbuza manje, who was left back? Nizombiza nonke at the same time. Who was right back? Nizombiza. I was watching a game labizlana ne Germany recently. Uyawabona wonke labadlali, you can still, because they were consistent. Even though you had so many, kuma striker. You knew good, okay, Nzoba no, the late Masinga, okay, no Mark Williams, okay, you would have those. But say, can we go back and count the strikers we had at that time? They go in Waba, Abo Max Maponyan, Abo Fanny Madid, Abo Shane McCraig, Abo Bennett Masinga, but now because of the level of consistency in the selection, it made it predictable and developed it clue. So that's where we were at. So why don't we then steal from that template and do the same? We can. It's possible.
Coach, lastly, just on a lighter note,
Yes, sir.
we're playing
Got Good Friday. Obviously, some people who are follow your career and also Golden Arrows. I'm a Christian. What do you say to everyone also be attending the service this weekend?
My message is irrelevant saying epetayo because I must lay the foundation in the ground first so that they don't get you out of context. Abogqirha, doctors, they work on ngama-physicians basebenza ngemizimba yethu mhlawumbe ngine-flu or nginenxeba bakulapha lapha emzimbeni. Psychiatrist bakulapha engqondweni ma ingathi uSteve Komphele ngathi ikhanda liyalahleka kancane bambuza ukuthi awukhawuntela 5437 mawuthi yebo bathi no akusahlangene kahle kuna something engathi the kunqamuka la ekhanda. Psychiatrist, the biggest challenge we face because of the trauma of the life we live today is the trauma we suffer spiritually. Who's the doctor of the spirit?
Amen above.
Physicians are doctors for our physique. Psychiatrists are doctors for our minds. So if the human being is a mind, body, and soul thing in the Trinity, who's the doctor for your soul? Good Friday provides an opportunity for you to go introspect and ask yourself, umoya wam ulungiswa ngubani? There are scars physically. Ngashiswa ilona like cutting torch ngisasebenza mine. There's a physical scar isila. But kumuntu ake wangithuka kabuhlungu. Leso scar usibona kodwa sikhona. La ngapholiswa imithi. Yini epholisa umoya wami? And up until you find the doctor for your soul, your spirit, you shall forever remain spiritually wounded. So for us to go have our wounds mended spiritually, we need to go maybe find church or a spiritual house, and Good Friday is a perfect environment and perfect space to go look into our souls, talk to our spirits, so that at least we acknowledge the existence of the struggle.
This is Extra Time on Gagasi FM and the English Premiership, Mike. Making a return this week, there's Manchester City against Arsenal on Sunday. Title contenders, both teams.
I mean, who would want to be either coach? Good friends. Don't forget, Arteta was Guardiola's right-hand man at Barcelona.
Barcelona, yes.
Okay,
They played for that team, both of them.
Both of them.
Yeah.
They coached that team together.
Yes.
They're great friends. They're from the same country. But here, all of that steps aside, and the rivalry between the two is going to be clearly interested.
If you look at the log standings as well,
just
1 point.
It's
between the two teams.
It's unbelievable. You look, Arsenal on 64.
Yeah.
Okay. Liverpool on 64. The only difference is goal difference.
Yeah.
Where Arsenal have a 46 goal difference and
39 to
Liverpool 39.
Yeah.
Then you got City on 63. It's 10 games left. Is it the end for Arsenal if they lose? No. Is it the end for City? I'm not saying it's the end for City, but 4 points with 9 games to play becomes a massive challenge because Arsenal effectively have to lose 2 of the 9 if City win 9 of the 9. So these are the sort of calculations that you've got to put into perspective. So Arsenal can afford to draw. City can afford to draw. I really don't think City can afford to lose.
Yeah.
Liverpool, on the other hand, are sitting waiting for some sort of result. You know, people say the best result for Liverpool will be a draw. Possibly it is. But I think any result for Liverpool is a good result because it means that it just makes it that much harder for one of the 3 competitors to win this Premier League.
Let me get your predictions. Chelsea, Burnley, Chelsea at home.
Chelsea.
Sheffield, Fulham, Sheffield at home.
I have to go with Fulham because they're not in bad form and their away record is not bad at all.
Liverpool, Brighton, Liverpool at home.
Definitely Liverpool. Although Brighton have always been dangerous and they like to play an open game of football, and the danger there is that Liverpool also like to play an open game of football.
Yeah.
So we could see goals in that encounter, but I'm going with Liverpool.
Skukune at home against Orlando Pirates.
Pirates.
TS Galaxy at home against Amazulu.
A draw.
A tough one, Cape Town Spurs, Swallows on Sunday.
In Cape Town.
Yes, in Cape Town.
There's definitely the momentum with Spurs,
Yeah.
but Swallows are also fighting for their lives. I'm going to go the home team to win or draw.
Which is Cape Town Spurs.
Yes.
Thank you so much, KZN, for joining us namhlanje kwi Extra Time. Thank you so much, Mike. And we're back on air on Monday.
Take good care, and to all of our listeners, have a wonderful, blessed, and safe weekend.
Yeah.
If you're traveling on the road, we all know don't drink and drive. But if you're traveling on the road, be extra cautious.
Yeah.
And look forward to seeing you on Monday.
Thank you so much. Now we get KZN. This is the Extra Time on Gagasi FM.